But here's the thing. Last year, yes, they were a good run defense, but they had to do it by committee. Now, just because you signed DJ Reader doesn't mean that other guys don't play. They're just going to play less. Last year, it was Bugs, and then it was, Benito Jones, and a cast of characters in there other than Lee McNeil. He was the one constant. Now, hopefully, you have a piece that is a much more constant factor in stopping the run. But here's the other thing. In doing so, you also have a player out there because his pass rush grade is relatively good. It's above average. So he's a guy that can push the depth of the pocket. Your guards and centers are going to protect the depth of the pocket, which is where DJ Reader is going to play. And then obviously your tackles, they're in charge of the width of the pocket. Mm-hmm. And that's up to Aiden Hutchinson and whoever they're going to put opposite him, and passing downs James Houston, to be able to narrow that. So you want to collapse that pocket from all levels. DJ Reader obviously is going to be a guy when you're facing the teams that you have to beat in division. Because what did we see? Josh Jacobs and DeAndre Swift have been added to the run games in this division. And then you look, and even Minnesota improved their run game, getting rid of Madison and then and adding Aaron Jones. Mm-hmm. Like, they have improved their rushing attack outside the division, but still in the NFC to get to the Super Bowl. It's Christian McCaffrey. It's Saquon Barkley. The teams that you're going to face that have really good rushing attacks, but they also pair it with a good quarterback and a mobile quarterback. You want to eliminate some of the escape routes for the quarterback. And I think DJ Reader does both of those things.
Yeah, he makes sense. I mean, I said it. Even yesterday on the show, I said it. He makes sense because he will make McNeil better. Head up over a guard is going to make McNeil look even better. It's going to help Aiden Hutchinson. You're going to be able to play 5 defensive backs and not get punished on the ground because you've got McNeil and Reader in the middle. And I do think it's one of the best 1-2 punches in the NFL. It may be the best 1-2 punch up the middle. PFF would agree based on last year's grades that those two in the middle are a force. They were already one of, if not the best run-stopping team in the NFL. But it doesn't mean it's a bad thing because stopping the run is going to be critically important. It's not just the division teams, to your point. It's also Christian McCaffrey and Saquon Barkley, the big dogs in the NFC that you are fighting for pole position, jockeying with the Eagles and the Niners. This move makes sense. And I think when we do it in combination with the whole offseason thus far, it does put it into picture what they're doing. They're not adding depth. Reader is a starter. Carlton Davis is a starter. These guys, specifically in this scheme, will be plus players. The only knock would be there are injury concerns with both more than the average NFL player. But I think this offseason has been upgraded. I think it's a B offseason right now.
And so we've discussed this over the past week, since Monday, since the legal tampering period, which after yesterday's news with Atlanta and who else was the Philadelphia Eagles,
Saquon thing,
like that whole legal tampering thing, and you can't do it the right way. That's BS. It completely makes my head hurt to think that the NFL is going to bitch and moan about how they want people to legally tamper. But and you address this. Words do matter, and when you lead with DJ Reader is somewhat redundant. It kind of has a negative connotation, but you're able to be critical. We don't have to agree with what Brad Holmes does 100% of the time. And whether it's Dan Campbell in the course of going forward on 4th and short or 4th and goal or any of the decisions, we can be critical of that. But John, this is a team that was really good at stopping the run. They've added to that strength. Probably a better way to put it.
Well, okay, fine. But do you realize how silly that is, that it's negative to tell people you have an elite run defense already? That was the negative comment that I made, was that your defense is already elite against the run. That was me being the bad guy. That to me shows you where the line has moved in terms of how this team is expected to be discussed. Guys, read beyond 5 words. Context, big picture, full real discussion that isn't just surface level.
Come on, people just read headlines.
John, I know.
That's okay.
That's societal, and that's a different direction.
Here's the other thing. We talk about all the time, hey, you want to make sure that you keep an asset an asset. And the offensive line, This is kind of where I'm looking at it going, maybe we have underwhelmed or overlooked, and that is on the offensive line. I was okay with Jonah Jackson not coming back and not paying him $17 million a year, but I still want to address the depth of the interior offensive line. That was probably, and I think it's kind of a consensus, the number one reason of the success of this football team. Offensively, Jared Goff felt comfortable. They were able to run the ball. They were able to throw the ball. And they haven't addressed that. But on the opposite side, they were a good run team, defense. And you get a chance to continue to strengthen that. So keep a strength, make an asset, an even better asset by adding DJ Reader with a couple of more skill sets.
And to be fair, I had the whole top 50 free agents thing. DJ Reader is a top 50 free agent addition for this football team. Yep. And it is in the trenches where you and I have both emphasized you win football games. So this is a good move. And if Carlton Davis was a free agent, I think he would have been a top 50 guy. So while they didn't get one of the top 5 or top 10 guys, while they didn't sink $25 million into one player, between the two of them, it's about $25 million. And you got two top 50 players who are at positions that will make this defense better next season.
Yeah, and so they did go out and add somebody that is going to add to this defense. They went out on the secondary and added to the defense to make it better. And I think the question is, how much better do you expect this defense to be? Because last year they were right, 17, 18, 19. The year before, 32, right? So they improved year over year. And now this year you're expecting them to, I would think, they would be a team that would get into the discussion of somewhere between 8 and 12. And if that's the case, do you think that this defense, just as it is on paper, should be expected to be somewhere in that 8 to 12 range? Because if you pair an 8 to 12 defense with a top 3 offense, what do you get?
You get a team that win the Super Bowl.
A damn good football team. Yeah. And not only is DJ Reader a top 50, and depending on where you're looking, around the Marcus Davenport, he was 60. Is I think the highest I've seen him ranked. So he was right there as well. They've added talent to this defense, but there's some ifs that come along with it. If Davis can stay healthy, if Reader can stay healthy, if Davenport can stay healthy. But we could also say that about Jared Goff. If Jared Goff can stay healthy, he's got no real history of injury.
Well, that's the difference. That's the only difference is Carlton Davis has missed time each of the last 3 seasons. Reader's got 2 quads and he's 30, and they're only guaranteeing $9 million. Like yes, anybody needs to stay healthy. Everybody needs to stay healthy. There's specific reason to say that with these guys, but this is out of the Holmes mold where these are short-term commitments where if they hit, it's a big hit, and if they miss, relatively minor. It's not gonna haunt them for years to come if DJ Reader doesn't replicate what he's done in the past.
And going back to what Brad Holmes has preached, and Dan Campbell as well, in his time with the media at the Combine, it's about being able to continue to sign depth and increase the depth. We even talked about it. It was depth. That's where you look at this and say, can they still be an elite run-stopping defense without DJ Reader? The components are still there from last year.
They were. I mean, if they had brought back Benito Jones and a Bugs type of player, last year was good enough for them to be an elite run defense.
Okay, so those components are still there. So that's where you go and you look and say, well, is this a gamble? Is it an upgrade? Yes, if healthy. If he's not available, they still have the opportunity to go out there and still be a very good to elite run-stopping defense. That's my question now about the offensive line. If Frank Ragnow goes down, Graham Glasgow goes to center, what do they do at both guard positions? Owosika, he's proven that he could step in and play. Is he going to be your starter going in? Kobe Sorsdahl, is that who you are relying on to play that right guard spot if Glasgow has to go to center? That's where I have a question about the depth of this team right now.
It's a good conversation. We want you guys in the mix. 248-539-9797. Your view of the offseason so far now that DJ Reader's in the mix. It's 97.1.